Hey y'all, welcome to Humming Catfish. Today we're going to be making a red clay salve. So grab a shovel, put on your boots, and let's go. As a kid, when someone got hurt, we'd always tell them, just rub some dirt in it, you'll be fine, let's keep building the fort. Well, it turns out that us kids were actually kind of right. I mean, not the dirt part, but clay. Clay actually has this thing called adsorption. Not absorption, but adsorption. It's where the negatively charged clay particles act like a magnet and pull out the positively charged toxins and fluids. It also has a physical drying effect. As the clay dries out, it makes a suction. Now today's salve, we're going to be adding oil to it, so we won't be benefiting from the drying part of it, more of the adsorption, but I will show you how to use the clay to make a poultice that will give that drying effect. Now clay is found in almost every single part of the world, and what we have here in Alabama is red clay. The same kind of red clay we used to rub into our cuts as kids. So let's get to digging some clay. All right, I think we got enough in there. We'll get this back to the house and smack it up on a brick and get it into finer chunks. I got a half-gallon mason jar here, and I'm gonna fill it up halfway. That looks good. Let's get this into the house and make it into a usable clay. Now we're gonna take our raw clay through a process called slaking. That's where we are gonna take it from this to this. This right here is the pure form. It has been sterilized and ready to go into the salve. First step, we're gonna take our jar that's half filled with the raw clay and we're gonna fill it up with water. And I'm just gonna take this little dowel that I have, get all the air pockets out, kind of mush it around. And you can see I'm gonna have to add water as I go, as it's absorbing. I'm gonna shake this probably every hour or so and then let it set overnight. That's gonna get the clay rehydrated and kind of into a slurry form. But I do not want to wait overnight, so I have one that I actually did yesterday. And you can see everything kind of separated out. We're gonna get this strained, and that's gonna leave out all the bigger particles and organic matter and anything like that. So first thing I'm gonna do is shake this up and get to straining. I'm gonna pour some water over this as I kind of stir it, and that's just kind of washing some of the good clay particles through the sieve. All right, so I'm gonna give that a stir, put it back in my jar, and then strain it one more time. I'm gonna get this poured back in the jar one last time. Now I'm gonna let this set for several hours, possibly overnight. And I actually have one that's been strained and setting for a while, and I'll show y'all what it looks like. Now this has been allowed to settle, and you can see all this clear water up at the top. So what we're gonna do is pour the clear water off. And this is one area where the mason jar comes in pretty nice, because the hip right here on it actually helps a little bit to hold some of the clay back from being poured down the drain. Let's get this water dumped off. Now I'm gonna take that same strainer and I'm gonna put 2 layers of cloth on it. What I have is just cut up old t-shirts. So that's doubled over. And now I'm gonna pour the clay mixture into this. So I'm gonna let this set probably overnight, but let me show y'all what it looks like after 24 hours. But you can see the water slowly dripped out of it, and what we're left with is like a really nice clay. Just spread it out onto a piece of parchment paper on a baking sheet. Now you can let this air dry. What I'm gonna be doing is putting it in the oven at 225 until it's dried out. That's gonna make it dry quicker, which is always nice, but it's also going to sterilize the clay. If you get the clay up to at least 212 degrees and maintain that for 30 minutes, is going to kill any microbes or viruses or even any like seeds that may have gotten through there. That way you don't have something sprouting in your jar. So I'm gonna get this into the oven and I'll be checking it, breaking it into pieces and all that good stuff. So here's some that I've had drying for probably 6 hours and it is just like chalk and bone dry. Now there are two different ways that I use to grind this up. One is with a mortar and pestle where you grind and sift and grind and sift. And another way is with a coffee bean grinder or spice mill that you would use just for this kind of purpose, things that you won't be eating. As you can see, it is just a light powder. Now that we have our sterilized and powdered clay, let's make a drawn salve. Today's salve ratio is going to be 4 to 1. So it's going to be 4 parts of your oil, 2 parts of your powdered clay, and 1 part beeswax. I have 200 grams of castor bean oil measured out into a heat-safe jar. Now to this, I'm going to add 50 grams of the beeswax. Now I don't have a double boiler that I want to use with stuff like wax. So I just have an old pan that I use and I put 3 canning jars in it into the bottom. That way when your jar with the oil and beeswax in it sits in there and you add the water, this isn't sitting directly on the pan and getting that really hot heat that could scorch it. So I'm gonna add some water to this and get it on the stove. I'm just gonna keep stirring this and heating it until the beeswax melts. I'm gonna get this on the table real quick so I can add the clay powder and then I'll just put it back on here for a little bit to make sure everything's mixed in. The color's amazing. So I'm gonna get this into some tins. Now another excellent way to use this clay powder is to make a mixture of baking soda and the clay powder. I do it half and half, and then what you can do is scoop some out, add a little bit of water, and you got a really nice paste that you can put on things like poison ivy, bee stings. This stuff is gonna dry and crack and start flaking, but that drying has that suction effect and also the adsorption of the clay is really going to help pull things out. And baking soda, we all know, is really good for bites and stings and stuff like that. Our salve has cooled off and set up really nice. All right, let's look at the texture here. You can see it scoops up nice. It's going to stay put. So how I use this, if I have something that needs toxins or whatever, anything drawn out of it, I would just put some of that over it, cover it with some kind of bandage because this stuff will stain, and then just let it set and do its thing. I wouldn't recommend putting the salve on poison ivy just because poison ivy kind of tends to weep and the oil in this could just kind of trap everything in there. For that, I would use the powder with baking soda and make up a paste with water and put it on there. That dried out pretty quick. The shelf life for this is going to be between 6 and 12 months in a cool place. So whether you're using the baking soda with the clay mixture or you're using the salve, make sure that you do your own research and make sure something like this is right for you. Well, that's all I got for y'all this week. I really appreciate you watching this video. And if you like what I'm doing, I sure would appreciate if you hit the like button. And if you really like what I'm doing, I'd appreciate if you considered subscribing to the channel. So until next time, I'll see y'all later.